guys, it's the Happy Heretic, and I'm gonna start this video by apologizing for the shadow, but there's not a lot I can do about it right now. I did a swatch test of my Mission Gold watercolors because a lot of new people in the groups that I'm in have asked about what paper should I start with, what watercolor paint, what brand of brushes, things like that. And so I'm going to put this video together. It originally started to talk about the Mission Gold set. This is the set of 24. It's currently, I think 42, but you're always going to find it around $40 USD on Amazon. I'm not sure what it goes for in the other places in the world. But because the question was asked, I thought, well, I'm playing around with my colors today, and I may as well also answer this question. So I don't have all of them here, but while I'm doing this, I'm gonna talk about brushes real quick and just show you. Forgive the very dirty easel. Mimic. Yes, I have watercolor all over my hands. These are two of my Mimic brushes, and there's a set of 8, and it goes for about $40. And they are workhorses. It's 100% when someone says, I have a budget of about $100 to get started in watercolor, what can I get that is of good quality, will last me for a while, and won't make me, as a beginner, really fight against my materials? I don't want to struggle, but I don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars just yet. So the Mimic brush set, again, on Amazon, USD right now, I believe is about $40, and it's, I think it's 8 brushes. It's a great big soft flat brush, and I think a number 8 round, a wonderful rigger, and let's see, oh, and a mop brush that will hold enough that it will empty your bathtub. It will hold so much water. So that's brushes, about $40, and again, it's the Mimic set. It's synthetic squirrel, I believe is what it is. Paints, this is how it started. I used to recommend the Daniel Smith Essential set. I'm gonna continue what I was doing here so you can watch me. What I'm doing is, now that the paint has all dried, I'm going back to see how easily you can lift. And I'm using a synthetic, what is this? This is a Pro Art Master Strokes. This is the Tree and Texture. It's the Terry Harrison Special Effects line. But the only reason I'm using it is because it's synthetic, and I'm gonna try to turn this light off and see if that works. Because it's synthetic and it's a little bit tougher. I was using a soft brush and it worked, but this works better. Okay, so the Mimic set is about $40, and you get 8 brushes. And the paints that I was recommending were these, and I wanted to show everybody what they look like. I don't think they're as pretty without the right light, but it takes, it's 20 set of 24, I believe there's 7 milliliter. Well, hang on. It's on here somewhere. I think it's 7 milliliter, but they're fairly small tubes. But actually, I will do this just for you. If you're gonna do a swatch, you're gonna say, oh, I'm so sorry. What I did is I just circled the plate in order. I'm gonna swatch something that you'll use a lot. Let's just say Ultramarine Deep, which I don't remember which is which. No, let's do, I think this is Phthalo. No, Peacock Blue probably. So just a tiny little bit. I wasn't prepared to do this, but now I just want to show you. Okay, this paper is a mess. Just the tiniest little bit. I will say it's not as pretty if you don't. We'll try this color. Just watch how little I get. Get a little bit water, my brush was dry. And I'm gonna do Is it Opera Rose? I'll do Opera Rose. Oh, you know what? Quinn Permanent Rose. That's something we use a lot. Get up here where it's light. And I love the way it moves. Add a little bit of water. Look at that. From one little dab, more water. So even though the tubes are tiny, first of all, I think you're getting 24 of them. And the Mission Gold in particular are just really brilliant colors. Okay, so I'm going to suggest Mission Gold, the set of 24 for $40. A set of 5 or 8 Mimic brushes, which again includes the mop, the rigger, the round, I think it's 5, and the flat brush for washes. And I can't remember what the other one was. Oh, it's a larger round. And bee paper. So while I'm talking about bee paper, I'm going to go back to showing how you can lift these things. I've already done the burnt umber, the red brown, the rose madder, and the permanent red. So let's try bright opera. See if I can do this and hold the phone at the same time. I'm really not set up for this today. A lot of new people are very afraid of watercolor because they say you can't fix it, you make a mistake and your whole painting's ruined, you went too dark, you put the wrong color in the wrong place. What kind of paint you use makes a lot of difference on that. Some brands lift easier than others. Your paper makes a huge difference. And if you will, when you get a set of watercolors, if you will do this, do a swatch test, let it completely dry, and then go back and just try to lift. And I didn't have to do almost anything. Let's try a blue. Maybe you want to remove some areas for clouds, or your sky got too dark where you're trying to do, I don't know, trees. That just happened to me. I brought my sky down way too dark. And my trees, which I was going to put in afterwards, obviously, there was no contrast. This is cerulean blue, and I am not sure what, I need to check the pigments on this because I'm not sure this is a true cerulean blue. And you know what? It looks way too dark without the light on. Let's see if my phone will adjust. Okay, so I didn't use bee paper because what I buy is 50 sheets of 6x9 bee paper for, well, when I was buying it, it was like $15 for 50, and it's gone up this year since January. I don't know when they did it, but I bought it early in the year, and it was like $15 for 50 sheets of 6x9. The bee paper is at that size in that package is 100% cotton, 140 pounds, and because it's 6x9, it's not a huge expanse of white. When you're new, sometimes that's intimidating. I'm gonna say the cerulean is a little bit harder to lift, which is interesting. I don't want to scrub this paper too much. Again, it's not cotton, and non-cotton paper cannot take the same level of abuse that cotton paper can. Now, when that dries, my bet is it will dry much lighter than it is right now. Let's go on to, well, cobalt's a color we use a lot. And it's not, I didn't do a super dark wash, so I'm going to go over it right here. And I'm being very gentle. Got the brush kind of on. My brush is wet, but not wet enough to drip. If you'll notice, there's no dripping going on. The cobalt lifts really nicely. No, that was too much water. And that ink I used earlier is going to run now. Okay. You want to keep getting the excess off because that also is removing some of the pigment that you lifted. And I'm going to say going back to white, that's a completely different story, and it's very, very difficult. but this is incredibly light. And if I were trying to lift clouds, wow, that came almost too white. I bet when that dries, it's going to be very, very nearly white. So you can see I lifted here, 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 here. That hasn't dried yet. And here, that also hasn't dried. So tips for lifting. I'm going to start this one with a soft brush and see what happens. This is Ultramarine Deep. And you do want to be careful, especially if you're using, although I've heard it said that if you weren't using cotton paper, you couldn't lift at all or do any sort of correction. I'm gonna call BS on that. I'm gonna say you have to be careful when you're using non-cotton paper. Some of the differences are, it does take the paint differently, and people will tell you, some people will tell you buy nothing but 300-pound cotton paper. Start with the very, very best. Well, you can do that, and if money is no issue, then go ahead. My understanding is 300-pound is really nice to paint on, and one of the reasons I haven't bought it is 140-pound is pretty much the standard, and it's good enough for, well, every artist that I know of, although a lot of them do talk about how nice 300-pound paper is. It doesn't buckle and warp as much. But when you're corrections in particular, or things like masking fluid, you can do these things with cellulose watercolor paper. You just can't do them as easily or sometimes as well. You may have to work a little bit at it. I don't like to do much scrubbing on cellulose because it pills up. And what happens is it pills up, and also you can mess up the sizing, and that's something a lot of people don't talk about. But when you, once it dries, if you have damaged the paper, the whole point is usually that you're going to paint over it. And when you go to paint over it, if you have harmed either the tooth of the paper or the sizing, it will take the paint that you lay down next very unevenly, and you can get some unexpected results. And if you're doing something very detailed or a flat wash, that's going to be a problem. So I've used Canson XL for all sorts of things. I've done some really, really pretty work on Canson XL, both in my journals and on the larger pads. I will say that if I'm trying to get really nice washy washes, big juicy washes, that I sometimes have trouble. But if you just want to lay down some color and paint, flowers are really nice on it. And I've done a lot of animals on my Canson because my animals tend to be fairly detailed, and it takes detail quite nicely. There we go. I'm really, really impressed with how well this stuff lifts. And I'm back to using the soft brush, but I will go back to the scrubby. This is black straight from the tube. I just wanted to try it out and see what it looked like. I don't know that I'm not sure if that's granulating so much as I was just uneven with the wash, because I had my paper upside down, and I think I charged some color back into it. Let's check yellows. You would assume a yellow would lift pretty well, but this is yellow orange, which reminds me a little bit of Daniel Smith's new Gamboge. I'm not sure what pigments are used. I can tell you that I did not use a waterproof pen when I did this, and that was a mistake. Yeah, it's lifting pretty much to white. And this is on cellulose. So I am more of a fan of Mission Gold after doing this lifting experiment than I was before. They're beautifully transparent. A couple of them are a little bit more opaque. This red brown seems to be a little bit more opaque, and a couple of others. This permanent yellow deep, to me, maybe if I did it lighter, it's not as transparent as I would like. The lemon yellow, of course, is beautiful, although to me it's a little, believe it or not, in person to me it's a little bit, what's the word? I can't get it to show you. Hang on. I'm trying to get my phone to adjust so I can show you, because in person it looks a little flatter, although that's good. That means this paint photographs well. This, to me, in person is the slightest bit more browny. And this one, that's pretty close. It seems to, my phone seems to pick up, that's dead on, that's dead on. This is just stunning. Although it's a little bit lighter in here than it's showing on the phone. Okay, so I guess I've covered more than I intended to. Beginner's supply list for $100. 50 sheets of 6x9 B paper for about $20. A set of 5 mimic brushes for, how much did I say? 40? So we're at 60. And a 24 set of Mission Gold, which goes down beautifully. A good range of colors, is transparent. These are not granulating. I can't find any of them that I would really say was that black, possibly, but I don't think so. So these are non-staining. Apparently, all the ones I've come across seem to be fairly non-staining. The burnt umber is the closest to being staining, and I think it's a mixture of several pigments. But transparent, non-staining, good range of colors, 24, lifts well, even on cellulose paper for $40. So you have $40 for your brushes, $40 for your for 24 watercolors, and $20 for 50 sheets of paper. So you're coming in as a beginner with some beautiful supplies. The Mimic brushes, they're workhorses. I use them for everything, and I've had them, I think, for over a year. They don't lose their shape. I don't have bristles falling out. So all of that for $100. So tell me what you think. What would you substitute? What would you add and still keep it at $50? I know that one of the first things that is going to happen is people are going to say that people should get a set of 5, like the Daniel Smith Essential Colors. Then you get a warm and a cool of each color. And I have it, and I love it. And I do suggest it. I can't remember how much it is right now. But let's be honest, when people are new, a lot of times they're learning to control their water. They're learning to understand how pigment moves on the paper. They may not even have a background in art at all. They don't know how to draw. They don't know that they can transfer their images to their watercolor paper, which is what a lot of people do. They think they have to draw straight out of the box. They don't know to always use a good reference photo. There's so many things they don't know. They can learn color mixing as they go. I don't think it's fair to ask beginners to buy high end of everything as if they can't get good results otherwise, and to learn everything at the same time. None of us did. So that's going to be my argument. My point was, we all know that beginners are going to want a pretty lavender or purple. We know they're going to want a beautiful pink. They're going to do flowers. They're going to do any number of things. And so even though, and by the way, good luck mixing some of these with the essential set. I've tried, and you can get unbelievably gorgeous neutrals. You can get great earth tones. You can get stunning greens. But things like pinks and purples and even oranges, depending on which way you want to go temperature-wise with them, can be very challenging. And I don't think that every aspect of our art should be challenging. I think we should learn. I think we should grow. I think we should recognize where we could improve and work to do that. But I don't think that every time we pick up a brush, we should be just inundated with, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to learn this. Convenience colors is what I'm saying are fine. But in any event, that's my list. The perfect list for $100 for a watercolor beginner from the Happy Heretic. And things you may have around the house that are invaluable that you absolutely need. A spray bottle. I don't know how anyone paints without one. I also have a small one for more directed and smaller squirts of water. A hairdryer. You do not have to wait for an hour to paint again. Use a hairdryer. Masking tape of some kind. Hairdryer, masking tape, and a squirt bottle. There you go. You probably have those 3 things around already. So if you have any questions or suggestions, put them in the comment, like it if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see what I'm up to on any given day.